Oh, here we go. I'm back. All right. I've been trying to do this for about 30 minutes. Trying to get live. I just wanted to do a rookie. Like talk about rookies more than I was talking about earlier today. But thank you for the channel, Dynasty Citadel. Uh, Came up with the name on the fly. Had to add a little bit of Dynasty content into it. But welcome back to the channel. Want to do a rookie mock draft. Get some eyes on these players. Was talking about it a little bit earlier after I did a mini actual mock draft on the dynasty side, but just went into rookies and then kind of flowed from there. So it's like, all right, before I do anything else, let me just keep talking about these rookies real quick. So let's I'll probably be in here by myself for a little bit. So I think I put a link in the chat. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I am new to this, so right now I can't even see my chat. That is how new I am to this. I can tell I don't have that many viewers, but I can't see my chat. I can see my chat now, but now I can't see if I'm online. Forgive me, give me just a second. Let me figure this out. Alright. The thing is, because I'm using OBS right now, some of the stuff, they could make it a little bit more user-friendly, in my opinion. This doesn't have to be this hard. Over here, shifting through things right now, because I can't even see, I can't see the link I posted. It's not letting me see it. Okay, here we go. All right, I can see it now. All right, let us go ahead and we'll go ahead and get started. If somebody does join, I'll start the draft over. It's honestly, it's nothing. Just start the draft over. But let's go ahead and start this draft. I have it at 4 rounds. I wonder if what I'll do, I just want to see what the computers pick initially. And then I'm going to see, then let's just talk about it from there, of how I feel about these players and how they pick. Let me make sure. I'm pretty sure it's on rookie because I see Ashton Genty at 20. Oh, they just picked a spot for me. That's fine. Luther Burden at 7 is easy. I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but if it depends on landing spots, and I'll do landing spots here in the future. I need to move my computer a little bit so I can actually see who's on the board. But I'm thinking of Mecca. I talked about it a little bit earlier. Mecca's played with some really good players, and he might be the guy to pick here. I have 30 seconds. What I've noticed is guys high in PFF rate and have played with great other receivers, even if they work out primarily out the slot, they tend to do well. Key guys like Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle. I'm pretty sure there's others. I can just think off the top of my head, but they tend to do well. And I know this is supposed to be a running back draft, and it's supposed to be running back heavy, but I think it just depends, honestly. Honestly, how you want to view it. Here, they say Ollie Gordon is the pick. I'm not picking Ollie. Where is Scadaboo not get picked? And Devin Neal will not get picked that high. I can tell you that. You have Dylan Sampson up here. Cam Scadaboo, who should get picked before that. I personally like R.J. Harvey. I'm not sure if I picked him last time. Tight end premium. I'd take the shot on Harold Fannin, even though I've been seeing rumors on Mason Taylor and Arroyo got early buzz. It kind of died down, but I saw him still. I want to say he was still ranked on Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. So if that's the case, that's going to be hard to turn down. But right here, I'm going to go Cam Scadaboo. He has, in my opinion, he was number 2 in missed tackles forced, high PFF grade. I think speed for me in the running back category really truly does not matter all that much. Of course, you can't be 4.8 like Restrepo was. And even Restrepo still might not honestly be that bad because he's working out the slot anyway. He just needs to be quick. But he's done so much, and then I was just looking at his previous seasons. He still was effective. I think he only had one true season once he started getting playing time that he wasn't truly the guy. While I'm over here talking, this would never happen. I'm going to go ahead and take him. Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins, honestly, I probably would have taken him over Scatterbo, just being honest. I believe how I look at receivers right now, I think he might be my number 3. He might be my number 3 guy. I'm going to have to actually make a list and look at this, but he might be my number 3 guy. Because just off the just pure metrics. And then, of course, he runs a 4.4. What do he run? 4.46, 4.47 at the combine. It almost messed me up, but it seemed like it didn't. I'm not sure why. Because he was going to be my sleeper. But I don't see him going in the late first to any drafts. And we'll talk more to it here in a second. But I haven't seen him go in the late first at any draft, so that might work to my favor. To finish this off, I'm looking at Torrey Horton. I like DJ Giddens. Trying to decide because when you look at just hit rates, I forget. I think it was Victory Formations channel. Look at hit rates for wide receivers outside of the first 2 rounds. That percentage dropped down drastically. I have to go back and look at it. And I still haven't created this Discord that I was supposed to create. Okay. But will it let me go back and see? Because I don't want to convert to a league. I should have paused it right before, so I could have seen some of the other players. But I can talk to them because I did build a list out. So we kind of mentioned it earlier. I'll highlight real quickly on some of these guys. Ashton Jeanty 1, that's standard right now. Tet 2 is not standard. In my book, he is standard. He'll be anytime I have a second pick. If I have a second pick, Tet will be going 2, unless he just has a terrible landing spot. I think he's a lot better than what people say he is, so he's going to be my number 2 guy. Cam Ward is not my 3. Cam Ward, I'm debating where he should be because I don't truly. I know he's going to go 1 overall, and I did a quick exercise yesterday to see all the number 1 overall picks and just to see who they were. I did it for the past 15 years. And I try to do it for fantasy relevant players. All of them hit, I think, except Sam Bradford, because Jameis even has some good years in there. Baker's come on of late, the past 2 seasons. Jared Goff's had good seasons. Of course, Kyler. Who else is number 1 pick that I'm missing? Joe Burrow's in there. So your number 1 picks don't miss. Especially, and then most of them are quarterbacks. I think all of them might have been quarterbacks when I'm looking at just fantasy relevant players. I don't think there's a number 1 player other than that in the past 15 years. So that's what gives me hesitation, just because I know they're going to play their number 1 pick. And he has Calvin Ridley. I think, if I remember right, the Titans don't have a 3rd round pick. So I'm not sure if they get a weapon in the 4th or if they get a weapon in the 2nd. If they get one in the 2nd, that they're going to play him. They're going to have to, because that means they're really high on that guy. Knowing that, or they trade back to get an additional pick. So we'll see how they approach that when we get closer to the draft. But I am thinking if Cam Ward is number 1 overall pick, just looking at the eventual production. Now, initially, like somebody like Jared Goff initially did not perform that well. Who else? Baker. But Baker was with Cleveland, and they did him so wrong. But even Jameis, I want to say, was either a quarterback 13. He was somewhere in that range where he still was decent on a fantasy-wise. Actually, I want to look it up and be a little bit more accurate on this, because Jameis actually, from what I remember, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong a lot. but I want to say he has a top 5 finish in there as well. And if that's the case, as a number 1 pick, it's still, he was number 4. He was number 4 in 2019. So he has a top 5 finish in there. So, and after that, after he left Tampa, then that was the end of that. So he'll get, as a number 1 pick, he'll get at least 3. Jameis got 5 years. Jameis got 5. His first year, he was quarterback 13, then 14, then 22 for 2 years, but he was hurt, or he didn't play all the games. I'm assuming he was hurt both of those years, and he was still quarterback 22 in those years. He played 11 games 1 year, 13 in another, and then when he played a full season again, he was quarterback 4. So that's what gives me some pause. So when I see people say you always take a quarterback, especially if he goes number 1 overall, you need to take him with your first pick, makes you think. Bryce Young, I'm interested to see because he's the most recent. I guess Caleb Williams, but I'm expecting Caleb to be pretty decent. And Caleb, this year? I know points per game, I want to say he was 19. But as far as just the season finish, let me see what Caleb was. Caleb was 16 PPR, or maybe he was 16. Anyway, still decent for a rookie. So I'm interested to see what Caleb does. You saw Bryce Young come on strong at the end of this past year. So quarterback, it's really nobody's taking Genty number 2, and the reason let's go back to Genty actually now. If Genty goes in the top 10, I don't believe there's a running back that has gone in the top 10 that has not produced. And I could be wrong. I'm talking about like the past 10 years. I don't think there's one that has not produced. So if that's going to be the case, you might as well take the sure thing. Genty is the sure thing. Cam Ward, you're hesitant on it. But history does show us if he goes number 1, I'm going to go ahead and predict he'll have at least 1 top 12 finish. I'm not sure when it'll be. I'm not sure how he will get it. But I'm going to go ahead and predict that he'll have at least 1. Because Herbert has 1. Kyler has 1. Of course, Burrow has 1. Burrow has multiple at this point. Jameis got 1. Goff got 1. Baker got 1. Man, I wish I had that list on me because I would definitely pull that list up. But throughout all those guys, if Cam goes 1, it might make sense. And could it be a steal to get him? Let's say you get Cam Ward at 6. I don't think he falls outside the top 5 in my opinion. I have seen drafts where we've gone all 4 running backs. And when I say all 4, Genty, Hampton, Henderson, and then we can throw in Judkins, and then some people throw in Caleb Williams. So it just depends. And then they start deciding whether if they want to go quarterback, wide receiver. Tyler Warren falls a lot. I'll speak to him in just a second. Tyler Warren falls a lot, but I have something on him as well that I've noticed. And you'll hear me mention PFF a lot just because I'm newer to this. And so that's one of the metrics I use right now. And it helps me figure things out, especially for the draft. So if you're in a tight end premium league, Tyler Warren is a very good get, and I will explain that here shortly. But going back to Cam Ward, I think Cam Ward is going to be at least give you 1 top 12 finish within this 5 years. Amari and Hampton. Now, a lot of people have him going to 1-2 now, especially after the combine. He's my number 2 back, been my number 2 back. I like him a lot. He can catch. Remember, people were saying he couldn't. People were comparing him to Nick Chubb. I was like, Nick Chubb really didn't catch at Georgia. Nick Chubb definitely didn't catch in the NFL. So, yeah, I think Amari Hampton is, if he's Nick Chubb, he's like Nick Chubb plus. And if he's Nick Chubb plus, that's a damn good running back. Not going to lie to you. But Amari Hampton, he's my number 2 running back, my 3rd overall player. TreVeyon Henderson. A lot of people like TreVeyon. And I think I mentioned it earlier, but I guess I can go in a little bit more depth now. So TreVeyon Henderson, for me, what I don't truly understand, and I know players get better, but I don't believe he was consensus RB1 last year when he was supposed to come out. I know for sure on PFF he wasn't. Jonathan Brooks was. And then after that, I want to say Blake Corum was. And I could take a look right quick just to make sure. And I know PFF isn't everything, but it gives me a good guide on how to look at these prospects, especially when I'm scouting these running backs. And that's what helped me take Bucky Irvin last year. And I'm not so certain about him. I know he has the pass catching that everybody looks. They said he's good on third down, especially on pass blocking situations. But I don't know how he gets an automatic the third best back when he was in that situation similar to last year. So that would be my only discussion or my issue about making him, TreVeyon Henderson, the third back. Because let's go ahead and look on PFF real quick. And I'm just doing it on my phone right now. But before we actually looked, and so is TreVeyon Henderson even on this list? I don't think so. No, he's not on this list. I'm trying to see where TreVeyon Henderson, it might have been pre-combine list that PFF puts out. It wasn't. He must not have been coming out. Trey Benson was down low on the pre-combine list. That's the thing to look at. Jonathan Brooks was the top for a good minute. And also he just fell. I don't even know where TreVeyon Henderson is at on this list. Maybe they just took him. Maybe they took him off this list altogether. I wish they didn't though, since he's coming out this year. I wish they didn't. Yeah, because there was a list where I got to see TreVeyon Henderson. Donovan Edwards was up so high. Jeez, man. That is absolutely insane. Oh, here it goes. Okay. Yeah, TreVeyon Henderson was down far on this list, actually. Okay, so you had Jonathan Brooks, who remains your number one. Blake Corum, 2. And I'm just going off PFF. Trey Benson, 3. Donovan Edwards at the time was 4. And we know now, no. Bucky Irvin was 5. Audric Estime was 6. Marshawn Lloyd was 7. TreVeyon Henderson was 8. Okay? Now, this was going into the bowl games last year. My thing about that is if TreVeyon Henderson wasn't even considered a top back last year, what supposedly was a weaker RB class, what makes him a top back this year? Now, I know he went through some injuries and whatnot, and you can't really fault him for that. But, like I said, and the caveat I mentioned earlier, players get better. And I understand that. But last year was supposedly a very weak RB class. If he wasn't automatically at the top of that class, what makes him the top of this class? I really need somebody to explain that to me. And just because I know what people are saying that he would have been the top RB. But in my opinion, I don't think he would have been. It's the same way how people had put Trey Benson so high, and which made me to believe to take him. And I did take him in a rookie draft. And I took him as my second running back. And I wish I didn't. And Trey Benson has a shot to be good, but Cardinals could honestly draft another running back this year, and that would just throw everything else out the window for Trey Benson. Especially if this draft class is that much better than last year's. And according to PFF, it is. So that's the only thing that gives me cause, makes me pause on the TreVeyon Henderson hype. And I'm trying to learn, each year and keep going. but we'll see. I'll try to understand it. We have Tyler Warren, let's see, taking 6. Okay, on the tight end front. So one thing I noticed on PFF, and it's primarily true. The number one tight end seems to be a great bet every time. Seems to be a great bet. If your tight end rank is under 50, not under 50, if your overall rank is under 50 on PFF, that seems to be a great bet too. Colston Loveland fits that. So it makes both of them fit both of those ranks. Now, it doesn't always work like that because somebody like Trey McBride was ranked number 60. But he was the number 1 overall tight end on PFF, even though he was ranked number 60. And what was that, maybe 3 years ago? So you kind of have to sort through the data a little bit just to be accurate. Now, a couple of his flaws on that, though, was Dalton Kincaid was 10, and I want to say Mayers was 19. But then you had Laporta, who was 43. If I remember, I don't know why I remember these numbers, but if I remember the numbers right, it was like that. So, but Dalton Kincaid, from what I was listening to somebody on, I think it was Fantasy Points. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he was explaining the blocking aspect, and I'm not too familiar with the tight ends and the blocking aspect, but this definitely helps for fantasy. It's like Kincaid can only play in like a few formations, really, because he's not a good blocker, and I guess he's not big enough. And now the thing is, Loveland is bigger than Kincaid, because I want to say Kincaid's like 6'3", 240, and Loveland is basically 6'6", 250, 6'5", 250, 6'6", 250, whatever. But if we're going to go back to that, but they still, if you can block, you can block. If you can't, you can't. And you can't only play slot unless you're like Travis Kelce. Mark Andrews can actually block, so can't even put him in there. Who else is just, you can't put Kittle in there for sure. Bowers, I'm not sure how good of a blocker Bowers is, but if you can catch like Bowers, then you're good. But that's what happened. And what probably happened to Mayer is Mayer probably was going to break out this year, but then they got Brock, and no way he's starting over Brock. And that's probably why Mayer was like, hey, I'm actually good. I wonder if Mayer's actually a buy low target. You got to get him before he gets traded, though. And if he gets traded, he would get traded probably near draft time. Huh. Just talked myself into that one. Okay, that's interesting. But Tyler Warren, I think, is going to be a really good tight end. I'm not worried about the age. I know a lot of people are, and that's what they do for Colston Loveland. But I don't think the age really I don't think it matters. If I go back and look at people, because I want to say Goddard, I want to say was tight end, the top tight end in his class. Who else is on that list? There's somebody, but so why I'm saying this is somebody like Arroyo, I'm scared off. I truly am, because again, the film watchers say he could be tight end 1 potentially, but his analytics do not support that at all. So I'm scared off on him. Fannin, analytics are impressive, but his athleticism, and I think somebody mentioned athleticism is heavy in the tight end space. It's what moved George Kittle up during his draft and why people were high on Kittle. And so, but I think I looked at Kittle, and Kittle's actual analytics were actually good. I don't think he just didn't catch that many passes. So if that's going to be the case, I'm scared off on Arroyo. Harold Fannin scares me, but his analytics are great. When I say last year he was the top PFF tight end, this year he was basically the top wide receiver, and he played tight end. So, but the thing is, I don't know if that makes him Isaiah Likely. The only thing I will say, he has a better RAS score than Isaiah Likely by far. Isaiah Likely's RAS score was like 2. It was terrible. I think at least Harold Fannon's is like 6 or 7. So I'm like, oh man, because I know if he never ran at all or did any drills, he honestly probably would have been my tight end too if he didn't do anything. And but since he did, it is what it is. But you want to get as many facts as possible. So I'm not truly sure about Arroyo. Fannin, if I can get him in the third round, I will take him. I will take him in the third round if I can get him. If he goes in the second, I'm just going to have to pass, and we'll see if he's great. I'll learn something. I'm not sure how often a statistical tight end comes around like that, but I'll definitely have learned something. All right, moving on. Let's go to Burden. I mentioned Burden earlier. Burden plays primarily slot. Didn't play with another top 100 player in PFF on the wide receiver side. I'm not sure if Theo Weiss is even on the top 200, to be honest with you. So he's really down my board. He's tight end like maybe 6, maybe 7. I'll really have to go through it and see. Igbuka, probably my tight end 3. He's played with great wide receivers, still puts up great numbers. PFF has him still ranked fairly high on their boards. He's inside the top 25 on PFF. I think he's a player we're sleeping on. I will probably try to move up in the draft to get him as long as it does not mess me up on getting Jaden Higgins. If I can't get Jaden Higgins in that early second round where I took Trey Harris, I don't think I'm doing it, because I think Jaden Higgins is going to get really good draft capital. Quinshon Judkins, I was listening to, and I mentioned it earlier, and I didn't realize he had talked about it too on DLF, how Quinshon Judkins didn't, was one of his players to avoid, and I kind of have to agree with him. But it scares me because how I mentioned the PFF earlier, how he has 3 good PFF seasons in a row. And usually players like that are pretty good. But some of the underlying metrics are not good for him, which makes no sense if he can run a 4.48. And he's 221 pounds. And I'm pretty sure he probably played bigger than that. So I don't understand how he's not breaking more tackles. Maybe he's doing the what's the wide receiver in Seattle? Oh my goodness, I don't know why I can't remember his name. That just falls down after the catch. Probably about to retire after this year. Man, I can't think of his name. I don't know why I can't think of his name. But I think if I had to take a guess, he's like that. And geez, it's going to irritate me. It's going to irritate me. I have to look this up. Yeah, but maybe Quinshon's like that. But I don't know. He doesn't. The metrics are bad. Missed tackles forced, not good. Yards per route run, terrible. Yeah, I'm not really too sure what to do with Quinshon. Wide receiver, Tyler Lockett. Thank God that thing popped up. It just popped up for me. Okay, let's keep moving. Shedeur. All right, we have Shedeur. Shedeur, accurate quarterback. I think he moves well in the pocket. It is very hard to evaluate quarterbacks, but what I will say, he does not rush, so that does not help us out in fantasy. And on PFF, he is outside the top 35. The reason I say 35, it might be 36, because that's where Bo Nix and Michael Penix were last year. But that was considered a very good quarterback class. This one's considered very bad. What also scares me about Cam Ward, but with him going number 1, it might not scare me as much. But what does scare me about Cam Ward is on PFF, he is not ranked in that top 10. He is ranked number 21. Now, they haven't updated in a little while, so we'll see once they update if things change. But That's what scares me about Cam Ward, because usually the quarterbacks rank that low initially. If there's no other quarterbacks around there, don't do that well, because that reminds me of the Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral. I don't want to take a quarterback if that's what happens. But the thing about that draft class, Kenny Pickett was the only one drafted in the first round in that draft class. And then even then, so Kenny Pickett still got some run. Now, did he do anything with it? No. Kenny Pickett also was ranked 4th on PFF, I think, that year. So that could have been a sign as well. And the crazy thing is, Malik Willis actually played well for Green Bay when Jordan Love got hurt. So, because Malik Willis was PFF's number 1 quarterback. So I'm interested to see where Cam Ward goes. If he goes 1, if he goes 2, he deserves to be drafted in rookie drafts top 5. I'll say that. Let's go. Who we have next? Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson probably should have went back and got more tape, but I think how high people were on him, that's the reason he did not. And it makes sense. Makes sense. If you can make some money and go ahead and get in the second, if you already predicted second round capital, come out. Might as well do the 4 years. If you play well, then you can get, I guess, a bigger payday on running back wise. But yeah, I'm not worried about his speed, to be honest with you. I can't remember. I want to say his explosive run rate was good, I think, but it definitely wasn't good as like Harvey's or anything like that. Because Harvey is the guy. I think Harvey might get drafted in the second round. His metrics are amazing, and I'll get into it in a little bit. All right, Milroe. Milroe could be, so the highest ceiling for quarterbacks. Actually, probably the highest ceiling in a draft is Milroe. If Milroe hits, that's basically like Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels at that point. I don't think he's as accurate as Jaden Daniels coming out, so I'll have to give him more Lamar Jackson. But still, Lamar Jackson year 2, wasn't he number 1 quarterback overall? I can look real quick because I want to say he had a crazy season when he came back out. Because, yeah, and Lamar was unstoppable that year. Yeah, he was number 1 quarterback. He put up 497 fantasy points. The crazy thing is he had a better year this year. Jeez, and it's probably just the league I'm playing in. But still, he was number 1 quarterback. He was number 1 quarterback, and that was 15 games. Yeah. So if he's anything like Lamar Jackson, if he goes in that first round at all, it's going to be tough not to take him in Superflex leagues. I might have to trade back into one league. I got Justin Jefferson and some players, so I don't have my 25, a later 25 pick. I have a top 5 pick in that league, but I don't have a 26 pick. But I can figure out how to get one with the players I have. But Jalen Milroe probably has the highest upside in this class. Now, saying that, probably has the lowest floor as well. Yeah, because he could be nothing if he can't read defenses. If he tries to run out of every blitz or run out of and scramble anytime he can't make his first read, yeah, then yeah, it might be over for him very quick. Travis Hunter, yeah. As for wide receivers, if he plays wide receiver, he might be number 1. I'm still debating that between Ted McMillan. I still will take Ted 1, even if Travis declares as a wide receiver. But he might be the number 1 wide receiver. Yeah, because every metric says he should be a great wide receiver. Now, the problem is we don't know if he's going to play it or not. And I don't want to have to take that chance. But in the second round, honestly, late first round, I'm taking that chance. Especially if I'm late first round and I just either made it to the championship game, got close, or was in or won the championship. Give me Travis Hunter. Might as well take an upside shot. My team should be still pretty decent if I just won a championship, if I didn't sell everything off. And if I take a shot at a guy that has the potential to be a wide receiver 1 in the future, might as well take it. Coastal Loveland, we mentioned him a little bit earlier. What he did with Michigan, even though Michigan didn't pass well, he accounted for, I want to say 30% or over 30% of their yards, which is absolutely insane for tight. Or no, was it yards or was it reception? I can't remember what the number was, but basically he was dominant in limited production because Michigan couldn't pass the ball this year, which might mean J.J. McCarthy actually might be good. Or maybe that was just Harbaugh. Whatever it was. Trey Harris, analytically, I mentioned it earlier, analytically is probably going to be great. But the film guys scare me. I'm not even going to lie to you. They scare me. I don't know. I really don't know. I really want to say Trey Harris. Right now, I'm saying if I don't know Travis Hunter is a wide receiver, I want to say Trey Harris is either wide receiver 2 or 3. But he scares me because of the film guys. Because I've never seen anybody who has a yards per route run that is 5. And I think against man, his yards per route run is actually higher than 5. I want to say it's 9. Something ridiculous. And then I think zone is 3 or maybe it's 4, something like that. But still, it's absolutely insane. And even if they say he's not really a good receiver or he did against lower competition, I don't really care. You play who you play against, and if you need to dominate, dominate. And that's what that man did. But the film guys are scaring me. They are absolutely scaring me. But I'll have to see what his draft capital is. Because if he goes second round, I'm going to have some decisions to make. Because I got to figure out how I'm going to get Jaden Higgins and how I'm going to get Trey Harris. I have some true decisions to make. Yeah, he goes second round. As long as he doesn't go somewhere like the Ravens, yeah, we're good to go. Jackson Dart. I've seen a few places where they say he's the number 1 quarterback in the draft. He's consensus at least number 3 now, for sure. I think people will want to move him up above Shedeur, which is interesting. I remember during the season, I remember saying, why aren't more people talking about Jackson Dart? Really, it was Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, but then Cam Ward took off because everybody was talking about Shedeur, but nobody was really talking about Dart at all. And then Dart had, at the Senior Bowl, played well, Combine. What did he do at the Combine or was it Pro Day? Whatever the next one was. I'm pretty sure it's Combine. Did well. So Jackson Dart, I'm pretty sure he's going in that first round. And that the scarcity of quarterbacks are going, might go in that top 10. Might sneak in there. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. Golden, won't harp on it too much again. But again, DLF and I share the same sentiment. Analytically, Golden is not it, man. It really isn't. And now, Isaiah Bond, who's right after him, was not considered a top receiver. So Golden is getting all this hype. The film guys say he looks great, plays great. Scares me, man. Like I think I mentioned earlier, Henry Ruggs was a really good receiver in college. Played with Judy. But as far as being dominant, I wouldn't necessarily consider that. So I'm interested to see if the film guys are right or if us analytic guys are right. Because I'm not going to lie, Golden will be falling down my boards I don't even think, even if he gets first round draft capital, I'm going to skip on him. I just am. I'm not going to take him. Now, I did mention earlier Brian Thomas, but analytically, Brian Thomas didn't look good. But Brian Thomas did catch touchdowns, and Brian Thomas was playing next to Malik Neighbors. So that's the other situation here. And Malik Neighbors analytically was outstanding. But neither Golden nor Bond, honestly, maybe a hot take, I don't think I would take them until like the third round. Probably, probably is a hot take, but yeah, I don't think I'd take either one until the third round. Just being honest, I wouldn't. Devin Neal, he's fallen down a good bit of boards, but let me check. I'm interested to see where PFF has the Devin Neal because I don't know if did he fall out the top 100? He did not fall out the top 100. He did not. He's still in there. So Devin Neal, I'm interested to see where he gets drafted. If he gets drafted in the 4th round, I'll take a look at him in the 3rd. But I'm not going to draft him in the 2nd. Cam Scatterboo is the guy I think we're undervaluing. He can catch. His rush grade was good. He is missed tackles force is a great indicator, isn't it? Elusive. Probably not thinking he's elusive, but he is. I think he's the guy we're sleeping on. I think he should be the 3rd back. I think the white running back label. I think how big he is. I think what are they comparing him to like Peyton Hillis or something like that. Hey, I think I'm pretty certain he's going to be good. Now it depends on where he goes, and he might have to wait a little while. But I'm pretty certain he's going to be good. Quentin Ewers, I'm not going to talk much about him. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback, and we'll just stop there. Ollie Gordon, he had a good year in 2023. Everybody moved him up to number 1. Bad year this year. Everybody moves him closer to 20. So I'm not sure if he gets drafted this high. If he does, it's just on name value alone. Jalen Noel, let's get into this one. Jalen Noel plays the slot, but can play out wide as well. I believe he had at least 100 snaps on the outside. What his PFF rank is good. Receiving rank is good. He can beat man coverage. Not at the same rate as Higgins, but he can beat man coverage. And I like to see that. Because if you can beat man coverage, it doesn't necessarily mean you're good in zone, but at least I know you can win a one-on-one. Because everybody doesn't. And the reason I said I don't think Bond is good at that. I'm not even sure if Golden is necessarily good at that. Trey Harris is, though. No, I'm going to keep talking about Trey Harris. Trey Harris is definitely good at it. But as we continue to look at like just dominance in receivers, I don't know if on PFF they're not ranked high enough for like both dominant guys. Because when PFF ranks like 2 dominant receivers, they rank them fairly high. They'll rank one, let's just say in the top 10, 15. Other ones still be like 30 or fairly close. Like how they did Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I'm pretty sure there's others, but those are the main 3 that people know the names of. Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. People know those names. So I'll reference them. And they all come out pretty good. At least wide receiver 2s. A lot of them had wide receiver 1 seasons. I'm going to say most of them, other than, I'm not sure if Devontae Smith. No, I think Devontae Smith had at least one wide receiver 1 season. Maybe all of those guys did. Yeah, let's take a quick check real quick. Yeah, all those guys had a wide receiver because Waddle definitely had one. Yeah, because him and Tyreek, I want to say, were both wide receiver 1 at one point in time. Yeah. Man, so that means all those duos definitely did. The ones I just mentioned. So, yeah, man. And that's crazy because Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas just came out. But I don't think they're that dominant of a duo, in my opinion. Now, maybe they could have been if they had a better quarterback. Because Let me think. Now, Ole Miss quarterback, who would it have been at the time? I don't think that would have been Corral, would it? And he still would have been an NFL prospect. But I don't think anybody's saying Iowa State's quarterback's a top guy. I could be wrong. But I don't think anybody's saying he's a top guy for this year, next year, or even future years. So maybe that was the hindrance. But we'll see. We'll see. I do like Noel at this spot. You could take him a few spots higher, but I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take him early second. I'll tell you that much. And if you can get him in the third, I'd take him all day. Who we have? Dylan Sampson. I think here's where we start. We talk about sleepers, but he should not be a sleeper at all. He is probably the fourth, maybe the fifth best running back. Yeah, I'll say he does everything, plays hard, has good grades, played with Jalen Wright. Yeah, I forgot his name. Played with Jalen Wright last year. I think he might actually be good. So I'm gonna see where he falls in the draft, because if he gets, let's just say he gets drafted third, fourth round, he'll probably slide down rookie drafts. Go ahead and scoop him up. Arroyo, mentioned him earlier. Injury prone. I'm not going to touch him. I know people have some people have him number one. I think PFF has him number 3. Not touching him. Will Howard. Honestly, if he would have to get second round draft capital for me to even look at him. RJ Harvey, I believe, is the ultimate sleeper. He's starting to creep up, because if he's this high, and I doubt Quinn Ewers or Howard, he might sneak it into the back of the second round. Now, same with Martinez. Martinez is starting to get up boards because people are starting to realize he's 230, and his rushing grade is really good. He was good at Oregon State. He was good at Miami. They're starting to realize he's actually a really good running back. So he's starting to creep up boards too. So Harvey, on a model I made, again, infant model, he came in, was he number 3? No, Harvey was number 2 on that model. Yeah, Harvey, and the reason being because of his breakaway percentage. And the thing is, it's not based on just 1 year. It was on every year he was in college on the running back side. And my thing is, I want to say they said he was a quarterback and that turned to a running back, or he was a quarterback that turned receiver that turned to running back. However it was, he hasn't been playing running back that long. Now, I don't understand how at 5'8", 5'9", he was thinking about playing quarterback. Maybe he thought he was going to be Kyler, but I'm pretty sure he made the right decision. And at 4'4", I think he's like 208. Man, I think he can be a very good player. Breaks tackles, elusive. He's what you want out of a running back. He just doesn't have the name value, and it's because he played at a smaller school, but he has the stats. And I think he's a senior. He might be a fifth-year senior. But I'm willing to take the bet on that. And when people say this fifth-year senior stuff, I'm not sure if it really applies to running backs like that. Let's not forget, Tyrone Tracy was 24, I think about to be 25, and had a very good year. Very productive year, especially in the fantasy space. So I wouldn't, if RJ Harvey's there, I'd take him late second. I would take him mid-second. I wouldn't be opposed to taking him earlier than mid-second, to be honest with you. Pretty high on him. Actually, I'm over here putting people as certain running back categories. I think I would have RJ Harvey over Sampson. I think. I really have to make this list. It's tough making lists. Eric, what they say his name? Ao Manor. I am not high on him. I think he's had one game. The game was against Travis Hunter. I'm pretty sure he had some other games in there. So, what I will say is analytically he is not good. Not good. Yards per out run is terrible. Doesn't look like he's average against man coverage. Not sure if he's good against zone. Might be a project. The only thing I like is that he plays out wide. If he played in the slot at all, I wouldn't even talk about him. But he plays out wide, so there's always a shot for those guys. It depends on how they develop and what system they get into. But analytically, he would be a third round, pushing probably a fourth round, because I see Jalen Royals down there in the fourth round, and I'm pretty sure I'd take him before. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd take him before. Let's keep going. Let's see, Dylan Gabriel, he messed himself up at Senior Bowl. Yeah, he didn't play well, and just fell down draft boards because I want to say at a point in time he was 4. I think he was head of Milroe for a little bit, or he might have been 3. I think he was 4 because he was right behind Milroe, and this is before Jackson Dart's ascent. Yeah, but messed that up. Martinez just mentioned he's climbing up boards as he should. Harold Fannin, like I said earlier, gives me cause. I don't know what to do with him. If he's here at 3.7, I will take him. But I doubt he falls that far, especially in tight end premium. Analytically, he looks amazing. And I can't fall into it. I got to see where he goes. A lot of these teams have taken certain players. Like everybody was hoping for the Chargers, the Broncos. But it looks like the Colts, maybe the Jets is a good landing spot right now too. I'm not sure. Yeah, Fields throws to the tight end because he threw to Cole Kmet when he was with the Bears. So we'll see. Higgins will not fall this far in drafts. I mentioned earlier, I could see myself taking him at the end of the first, depending on how the board shakes out. I think he's a potential star in the making. I truly do. I think just looking at grades, looking at players just historically on the PFF system, he fits the profile. He's 6'4". I think he's anywhere from 210 to 215. I ran a 4.46 or 4.47. I hated it. I'm happy for him, but I hated it because it's going to push him up boards, and don't let him get first-round draft capital because I might not be able to get him anymore. But Jaden Higgins, I think, has a good potential to be a star because, like I mentioned earlier, and I'll go over it briefly, everybody talks about the breakout age and the breakout year, really. He broke out his junior year. Or I'm not sure if he's a fifth-year senior. I don't think he is. But he broke out. He broke out last year. And then came back this year. And then just put up better numbers. But analytically, he was good last year. So, I just need people to understand that. Restrepo, 4.8. Don't know what to do about that, to be honest with you. Not sure. I do think he's a very good receiver, though. So, and then one of my models had him ranked, let me see, I think Tez was above him. So he would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, he would have been 6, he would have been 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think he would have been 7. Man, in one of the models. But the same model had Higgins at 10. So I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, I got to revamp it. But man, and it accounted for his speed and everything too. I think Restrepo, I know Restrepo has to play the slot. He don't have enough speed to play out wide. But as long as he has enough quickness that he can get off the line and he can get by people, which we saw in college. We definitely saw it. So as long as he can get by people, he'll be fine. Now, the major upside, I think that's gone. I think wide receiver 3 probably at best. So if he gets you anywhere from 10 to 12 points a game on average, you'll be happy with it. Let's go knock out these tight ends real quick. Mason Taylor is going up boards. Who is he? Is he the nephew or? Because I don't think he's the son. I think nephew of Sean Taylor. Not Sean Taylor. Maybe Jason Taylor. Somebody, man. But so he's supposed to have NFL genes or bloodlines. So we'll see. Uh, Gunnar Hill, Ferguson. Oh, analytically, I think he was number 2 on the board, wasn't he? Either no, he might have been 1. So I gotta look back at Ferguson. I'm sorry, not analytically. Sorry, RAS score he was number 1, I think. Analytically, I think he's okay. Played at Oregon. Let's see. We have Riley Leonard. Not really looking at him. Jordan James played at Oregon. So I think people are trying to say maybe he could be Bucky. He's not. Let's just get that out the way. Aronde Gadsden. I'm interested. He had 3 good seasons, according to PFF. I'm pretty sure, at least 2. At least 2 good seasons, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. Now, I know he was a wide receiver from everything I read originally, and then converted to a tight end just because he was bigger. So I'm not truly sure if we keep him that low, but on PFF he's ranked in the 200s. So yeah, fourth round, maybe 5th if you have a 5th round. Is that Mitchell Evans? I think he was ranked super high before the year started, but didn't really do anything. Honestly, this next guy, I'm not aware of his work. I really need to look. See, I'm not even sure what his first name is. Is that Maliki Mataval at UCLA? If he's getting drafted, good luck, my man. Thank you. Let's go Curtis Rourke, McCord. Like I'm gonna continue to say at this point, if they don't get drafted in the 2nd round, I'm not going to look at them. They could be good. I would say they're good quarterbacks on the college level. But as far as the NFL, I don't care how high I am on some of these guys. Even Tyler Shaw, I believe that's what his name is. Don't care. I honestly don't. DJ Giddens. Hey, I think he's another guy. He's in the top 100 on PFF. 6 foot. I think 212. He can catch. Good rushing grade. Was solid every year in school. Just a junior. Could be one of those guys. Depends on where he falls at in the draft. Was that Eli Stovers? Or Stowers? Yeah. Be honest with you. I know they say people are high on this tight end class. I only like 3 tight ends. And then I do like Aronde Gadsden, but truly I wouldn't draft him though. I like him, but if I was able to get him, let's just say off of waivers, yeah, cool. I'll get him after the draft, but yeah, I probably wouldn't draft him. I would just go running back. I would go running back so heavy, and then if any receivers fell like a Jalen Royals, scoop him up. Tez Johnson in the 4th, scoop him up. Jalen Royals is ranked pretty good. I like PFF. He's solid on PFF, but what I truly like is his yards per route run. It's at 3 this year. I like that. And I really have to assess if do I draft him, because I have a 312 in one of my drafts. Do I draft him and go ahead and get him there? Or, because I don't think he falls. I don't think he falls that far. To the 4th anyway. You never know. But he's a good receiver. Played at Utah State, got hurt. He was solid last year. He wasn't good, but he was solid. And then Tez Johnson, another slot guy. Small, mentioned this earlier, but he isn't probably going to amount to too much. Never played on the outside, but he's quick. But as we see with Tank Dell, man, these guys hit hard in this league, man. You got the 300-pounders. I know everybody's probably seen that guy that's 460. If he gets drafted, he's definitely the heaviest player ever. But Tez PFF grade is good every year. Every year. Yards per route run was good. Not necessarily this year. They were good, but not the good. When I say good, I'm looking for 3 and over. That's what I want to see. because to me, that leads me to believe that you could potentially be a star. And that's what at the end of the day, that's what we're hunting for. We're not hunting for average players when we do these rookie drafts. We're looking for guys that could potentially be the next star that could take us over the hump and help us win a championship at the end of the day. Tez, I don't believe does that for us. Now, what I was thinking he could be was a solid wide receiver too. But being that small, I don't think there's a player that's been his size that has done anything. So, we'll stop there. I should have paused the draft right before I did this so I could talk about some other players, but we can always do that next time. I have time. But I got to think of a slogan to come out because I can't steal Jimmy High Roller's thing until next time. I can't do that. I got to think of something. Maybe I am the Citadel. I got to find a phrase for the Citadel. That's what we're going to do. We're going to find a phrase for the Citadel. But until then, dang, I didn't even cut the thing off. Don't even worry about it. We're going to get better at this. There we go.